Hello everybody and welcome back to Chronically Fabulous. So it's like 3:30 in the morning right now and I can't sleep because I have other shit on my mind that's keeping me awake, so I thought I'd make a video. I'm not going to be discussing the stuff that's on my mind because I don't know, I don't think it's something that deserves to be on YouTube. But I want to talk about like teenage disability and pregnancy, because like ever since I was a little kid, like my only long-term standing goal has been to be a mom. Like I don't know why, like I've always just like I like to think I'm a very nurturing person and a loving person and that I have a lot of love to give, and like I feel like I have a lot of wisdom to give, and I feel like I could really, I don't know, I just think I'd do well with my own child. And recently I've been having like really fucking crazy baby fever. Like I'm not pregnant, not getting pregnant anytime soon. I have a pretty solid plan where it's like I do not intend to get pregnant before I'm like done college, have a stable job or living environment, and I'm with a stable partner. Like I have no intentions of accidentally getting pregnant or having a child just to keep someone or anything along those lines. Like it feels like weird saying that, but people do it. But yeah, anyway, so one thing that I wanted to talk about a lot is like I've opened up to a lot of people about the fact that I want to be a parent and the fact that I want to be a mom someday, and the most common question that I get is, well, what about your disability? And that's for many reasons. That's like, would my body be able to sustain a pregnancy? Would I be able to function while pregnant? Because, you know, that's a lot of like forward weight. That's a lot of like strain on your joints. Like regular women have issues with their joints and their ankles and their feet and things like that because they're pregnant. Like if I get pregnant, okay, as of right now, my body could probably handle being pregnant, but I know that like as I get older, my disability is going to progress. I'm going to become like weaker over time. And I get that, and like I'm doing preventative workouts and things like that to like try and strengthen my body, like actual strength wise. Like I'm making progress. That looks really like pathetic on camera, but compared to what it used to be, like anyway. But as of right now, my body would be okay, I guess, to handle pregnancy. But then again, I've never been pregnant, like I don't know. But further down the line, I know that my body will get weaker, and I know that when I do eventually get pregnant, I will most likely be wheelchair bound for like that whole fucking time. So that's one of the big sticking points that people talk about. But another one is whether or not my children will have my disability. So a little bit of family history. I'm the first person in my family to have ehlers-danlos syndrome. I'm the first person in my family to have any kind of disability. My grandma's got diabetes, and my dad had like a weird like bone thing because he like broke his arm when he was young and it like didn't get checked out and it like fused weirdly. But I'm the first person to have my disability. I'm the first person to try and live through it, and like I have no family history of it. I have no one to look to for guidance when it comes to this. No one to look and like, no one to ask questions to. No one to refer back to. No one to look at their kid and be like, oh, okay, don't do that. And it sucks. But at the same time, like, people ask about my disability in terms of my children in almost like a worrying way, where they're like, oh, well, like what if you pass it on to your child? And from the research that I've done, there's a 50-50 chance of my child ending up with ehlers-danlos syndrome, and that sucks. Like I don't like the idea of like my child needing to go through this, because I know what it feels like, but at the same time, like I don't think it'll be nearly as rough for them because they'll have me. I will have gone through it. I will have lived through it. I will have the knowledge and the wisdom and the life hacks to like make everyday things easier. I'll know what they're going through. I'll be able to talk to them. I'll be able to empathize. When they come to me and say, Mom, like, why am I like this? I don't want to be like this. And I'll be like, I don't know. I'm not, like, I don't know why I'm like this either. I don't know if I'm out of focus. But it's just weird. And like, I understand where people are coming from, where they're just like, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't have children if there's like a risk of them getting it and things like that. But having a disability is not the worst thing in the world. My disability is not the worst thing in the world. And I understand where people are coming from saying, like, you're gonna make your child's life harder and things like that. But you could say that about anything. You could say that about a child being, like, left-handed or biracial, or like being born with a stutter, or like any kind of thing that someone else could make fun of them for. That's really the only social challenge that anyone really faces, is how other people take it. And like disabilities, you can work around them. Like you can totally, like I can totally live with my disability. It sucks sometimes. Sometimes I want to die because of my disability. But that's a mix of my disability and my mental health issues in my past and my general suicidal tendencies, which if you want to refer back one video from this one that goes complete in depth into like my mental state. But like I will be there for them and I will understand. And like the worst thing that I've ever been told, and I was told this by a partner, like someone who I really, really liked and someone who I was very into. But at the same time though, like I couldn't see a future with him anyways, so it doesn't really matter. But he looked me in my face and said, you wanting to have your own kids and like the possibility of them getting your disability, don't you think that's unethical? And I was like speechless. How could you possibly think that having a disability is unethical? Like, if it wasn't in those words, I would kind of understand, where it's just like, why would you like possibly put your child in that situation, like knowing that you've gone through it? And I get that. I'm not naive to the fact that I've gone through a lot of shit because of this disability. Like that's not missed on me. I know. I'm going through it. But sorry about my phone. But it's just, it was so weird to hear such a close-minded thing from someone that I really cared about. And like, I wouldn't say that I loved him, like, because we weren't together that long, didn't see a future with him. But at the same time, like, it hurts. Because like, I'm dating you. You know that I want kids in the future. You know that I have my disability. You know how I feel about raising a child with a disability. And you know that I would have a plan to. But you still decide to say that my wanting a child, my wanting to fulfill that like biological drive that some people don't have, but I very strongly have, is unethical. And that broke my heart. It was one of the biggest things for like when I broke up with him. I was just like, yeah, don't get back together with him, because would you really want to date someone who, like, knowing you wanted a child, would think that you were unethical for having that child? Like, it doesn't make sense to stay with that person. And like, I've come across guys before, and Anthony as well, who know the risks, understand the genetics of it, and don't care. Like, you would love that child anyways, you would be there for that child anyways, would trust that I have been there and would know what to do. And like, I don't know. In terms of partners, like, if you ever end up with someone who, okay, if you tell your partner, oh, when I have my child, like, say it's not a disability, say you're like, oh, when I have my child, I'm like gonna introduce them to the KKK, I'm gonna like get them their own white robe, like grow them up and things like that, leave that person, because that person is crazy, has no idea what's good for a child, how to raise a child. But when it comes to a biological factor, like it, ow, my shoulder. Sorry, my shoulder just slipped down. That's the first time that's ever happened on camera. Just like as a side note, if you don't have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but you're watching these videos, there is a thing with like joints and things like that. Everybody knows what a dislocation is like. Everybody, well, not everybody knows what it's like. Not everybody's seen a dislocated shoulder or seen, or like had their own shoulders dislocate or anything like that. But the thing about joints and connective tissue disorders and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and things like that is you don't just go from joint is in to joint is out. There's a big middle ground, and that's where like subluxations are. And the way that I've, like the metaphor that I've always used to like explain them to people is it feels like my joints are attached by rubber bands, so there's like an anchor point here and like an anchor point here, and it'll just slip out but like bounce back because like muscle tension, things like that, pulls it back in, or like, ouch, or like your natural body instinct is like, oh, that's slipping out, tense up, pull it back in type of thing. And sometimes that can hurt, sometimes it pinches a nerve coming back in, but for partial dislocations, aka subluxations, yeah, it's weird and it's kind of gross. It doesn't hurt nearly as much as something like fully slipping out. It's just super inconvenient and can kind of catch you off guard. But anyway, back to my baby fever. I don't know why. I don't know why I've been so like, I don't know. If anybody on here who like, excuse me, who knows me in person, or even if you don't know me in person, on YouTube there's a gamer named Cinnamon Toast Ken and his wife, who is a pretty fucking famous cosplayer and prop maker and like haul person and things like that. She has a channel called Super Merryface, and they had a baby, and like I've been seeing a lot of babies on Instagram. I've been like, my aunt had a baby like 2 years ago, and like Xavier's like getting big now, and it's so weird because like in my last video I talk about how I've been having like a lot of existential crises recently, and just like an ongoing long ass existential crisis, which I've come out of recently, which is really nice. But every once in a while I just stop and think, and I'm like, I'm getting older. It's like, and my plan is to have a child around like the age of 26, 27, because I believe that that's a good age too. That's when my mom had my brother and I. But I'm like just sitting here thinking like, I'm getting older. Eventually one day I will be sitting in my bed pregnant with a child, and then later on that child is going to be like my baby, and then later on that child's going to be my toddler, and then like my young child is going to be like a tween, and then a teen, and then an adult, and then I'll be old, and then I will die eventually, and like that freaks me the fuck out. And like, I don't know, I hear the term non-permanence, and that's like the perfect term to like describe the main aspect of my existential crisis, is the fact that like nothing is permanent, no one's permanent. It's like that fucking Rick and Morty quote where it's like, ah shit, how does it go? It's something along the lines of like, nobody's here on purpose, like everybody's gonna die, now come watch TV type of thing, where it's just like, no one's here for a reason, your parents fucked and you ended up here, like, good luck, go play. And like, that's life, and life is so incredibly short, and like, it's weird to think that at 18 I'm pretty much a quarter of the way through my lifespan now, and like, I've done a good amount of shit for the stuff that I've been through, for the people I've had to deal with, for the court systems, for like, in terms of YouTube and my disability and like everything that's gone on with my brother. Just, I have made it through a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff that I've been through, it's like a personal victory type of thing. It's not even like an outside world, like, oh, this happened and like it happened because of me, like I didn't get an award, I haven't gotten my diploma yet, just things like that. Like, it's your own little personal victories, and I feel like I've done really well in life, but I hope to do so much more, and like, I only hope that I can do that in my lifetime, and I only hope that I can leave like a lasting impression, not just like with my family, but like in the world. Yeah. So if anybody watching this is a teenager with a disability, or even an adult with a disability who's had children, like, I would love to hear like your experiences, like, or like what you think about it, just like, especially like that unethical comment just sticks in my brain all the time. And I broke up with this bitch like a month and a half ago, if not more, and he said it like 2 months before we broke up, and like it still sticks in my brain, like the idea of me being unethical for having a child that might end up like me. Wow, saying it like that sucks. Sorry for getting kind of emotional in this video. It's just a really touchy topic for me. I've always wanted to be a mom like my mom. Yeah. Anyway. My name is Emily from Chronically Fabulous. All the accessible social media that I have will be linked in the comments down below. So that'll be my Ask FM, that'll be my Instagram. The ask is there if you have like questions or things like that that you don't feel comfortable asking in the comments. The comments are there to like leave constructive feedback or ask questions or suggestions for future videos. But yeah, I'm gonna keep kicking it, and I'm gonna keep trying. And these late night like recording sessions when I have like a lot of shit on my brain have been doing a lot for me and have been very very therapeutic. But anyway, I'm Emily from Chronically Fabulous, and I'll see you guys next week.